everyone. Welcome to the Self-Awareness Journey podcast. I'm Melissa Albers.
And I'm JJ Parker. This podcast is for seekers, seekers of happiness and joy, seekers of a centered approach to success in life, seekers of their true, authentic selves.
Get ready for some real talk on everything from anxiety, emotions, and habits to love, compassion, and forgiveness. We know you'll be challenged and enlightened by this conversation. We're so glad you're here. Let's dive in.
Welcome back from vacation, Melissa.
Thank you very much, I guess.
It felt like you were gone a long time. Couple weeks?
I was gone for 2 weeks. It was a long time.
That's a pretty good vacation.
It was great. It was fantastic to be out of my routine. So I was running hard up to the moment I left, and then the minute I got back, boom, my feet haven't touched the ground yet.
Yeah. And you went overseas, so you were like a bit more out of your regular element than normal.
Yeah. I was back in Scotland for a couple weeks. But we did really different things, so it felt like a very different experience this year.
Why is that?
Most of the time when I go over there, because one of my best friends lives there, we go on the Inner Hebrides, which is on the west coast of Scotland. An island on the west coast of Scotland is usually where I spend all my time. And this year, we stayed in just north of Glasgow, so it's kind of in the center of the country for a week, and then went over to the island for the second week. So it was really cool because we stayed in this tiny little village, and it was neat. I did fly fishing this year, and with a guide that I could not understand to save my life for the first hour and a half. And then by the time it was, towards the end of the day, just the best guy in the world. And I said to him, would you stop talking in such a Scottish accent for 5 minutes so I can understand you? Oh.
Well, so when you were gone, I was actually thinking about vacations and the length of vacation.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought you were gone for 3 weeks for some reason.
Oh. Next. That'll be my next stop. Well, actually, you were on vacation after I was.
That's why. That's what it was.
It was
I was on
3
vacation,
weeks.
and then you were on vacation. I didn't see you for 3 weeks, and so I just had thought you were gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking about vacation here. We all have jobs. All of our jobs have different vacation policies and expectations.
Right. Exactly.
And I was thinking what are the different vacation expectations around the world?
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Here, what do you think the average is? Here, I feel like it's you get 3-ish weeks, 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, but it's an expectation that you would never, ever put them all together.
Right.
You'd never do that here.
Yeah, you never take 3 weeks continuous.
Mm-mm.
And then there is for sure a strong culture here that it's a positive virtue to not take all your vacation.
I agree.
For some people, for some reason.
Isn't that crazy?
We actually, a couple of weeks ago, our HR person specifically reached out to employees and managers for people who had not taken enough vacation. So, which I thought was really interesting. We don't have a problem with people taking too much vacation. We have a problem with people not taking enough vacation.
Yeah. I think that's a universal American thing because it's a badge of honor if you're just working all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a badge of honor. I actually think this is part of why the whole COVID thing has caused a huge ruckus, because this at home versus in the office, and it disrupts the flow of traditional work styles, and it also disrupts vacation flow. I really believe this is, you're right. It's a thing.
Yeah, because I don't know. There is this idea it's the whole meritocracy idea. It's in America, you get ahead if you're smart and you work hard.
Yeah.
Right? That's a fundamental American belief. I bet everybody thinks if you're smart and you work hard, you get ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that work hard part of that equation is interesting because, it's like you got to hustle more than everyone else. You got to put in more hours than everybody else. And then in a lot of especially bigger companies, you've got like the corporate ladder thing, and it's kind of competitive amongst employees.
I agree.
Whereas like maybe a different country that, or even maybe even some industries here even that are more like unionized or have like labor unions, it's not maybe as competitive with each other, but we have a very strong competition as individuals against other workers, against our peers.
And by the way, it's unspoken and unwritten.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about it, but that is absolutely true.
Yeah. So how do you get ahead of your peer is you outwork them.
Yeah.
Or you show or at least you show some sort of dedication to the organization by putting in more hours, or I don't know, like there's all sorts of things people do.
Well, and I think too, like, there was a stigma. I remember as recently as 10, 12, 15 years ago, where if you were on vacation, you didn't even tell people you were on vacation. You did not tell people.
Vacation.
Yeah, because that was considered not a very good thing to be gone. It was looked at like you were being lazy. I mean, I really specifically remember that. It's like, oh, don't put your autoresponder on your email, because then people will know you're out of the office and on vacation. Make sure don't change your voicemail and say that you're on vacation, because that's going to make you look, especially in certain jobs, like, for me in sales.
Well, in sales, right?
You would never
Always
say.
on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. And the other thing I was just reflecting on as you were talking is, even if you have 1 week of vacation, even if that's all you have, a lot of times people will just take a Friday or a Monday. They'll just tack it on to a weekend to try to get a little break without taxing anyone else as a result.
Yeah. Yeah. So I actually pulled this little list. Well, I kind of have
a list. It's been a while.
Well,
I'm trying to pull it up
like that.
No, I can't do it. I don't have it.
I was just curious at like what other countries do for a vacation. So there's a bunch of countries that have like federally mandated vacation policies, whereas like in the United States we don't have that. That's just
right.
That's just like whatever companies do, whatever they want to do. But I thought it was interesting that there's a lot of countries that have a lot more vacation. Like, so for instance, Brazil, annual paid leave, 30 consecutive days. And then they get 11 national holidays for like 41 days off.
Oh my gosh.
But the interesting thing is 30 consecutive.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
I just judged that.
Okay. Yeah. How did you judge it?
I just judged it negatively. I was like, what?
Yeah. They're just down there in Rio de Janeiro in their swimsuits on the beach, just hanging out 30 days in a row.
Swilling fruity drinks. Going
all tan.
Going to visit La Sagrada Familia and seeing that like big, huge statue dudes looking over the water. 30 consecutive days. How in the world would you stop working for 30 consecutive days? That's amazing to me.
Yeah, you know how people do that?
Now I'm sounding so American.
You know how people get 30 consecutive days off in the United States? They quit their job. They quit their job.
Yeah.
They take a little 30-day vacation, and then they go find a new job. Yes. That's how you get 30 days off in the United States.
Or you're sick and you can't work. That's it. Those are the only
be
two
really
ways.
Sick.
Please don't do that, anyone.
Sick
Please
day. We're
don't
work from
do
home,
that.
Melissa. You can work when you're sick. We don't care. Just don't get anyone else sick. No, I mean, I'm
Wow.
I'm actually being serious. I think that if people want in the United States, if people want a consecutive break, they literally quit their job and find a new job.
I agree.
That's the only way to do it. You can't do it here. You can't take 30 days off in a row.
And by the way, I also think generationally, it would be super interesting to break down the percentage of each generation that would actually even do that. Because I think that the younger generations would 100% do this and have no concern or fear about doing it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I think people that are in their late 40s, 50s, or whatever would be terrified to do something like that. Would be or worried so much about how other people would think of them.
Another country on the top of the list is the United Arab Emirates. They also give 30 days a year, and they have 14 days of public holidays. So they're like at 44 days.
Are those 30 days consecutive or just? Okay, so that's a slight difference. That's super interesting.
Yeah. And like some of the others, like there's a bunch of countries here that are in that like 25 days. And a lot of them are minimum, like Norway, Denmark, Sweden. These are all like minimum of 25 days.
Wow. I have a question. When you see these numbers, did you have any judgments or any preconceived ideas that came to your mind about these countries as you were looking?
Well, a couple. First, I was like, "Oh, that seems nice." Like, but for me, I actually probably do take pretty close to this anyway.
Yeah.
Especially the past couple of years. Like the past couple of years, I've been really during the summer, really trying to focus on kind of doing stuff with the kids.
With your kids, yeah.
And what that causes is me to have like maybe 5, like a work week, couple weeks of full work weeks off, especially when I kind of go out in the wilderness and
of course,
really disconnect. But 30 consecutive days to me was like mind-boggling.
Right.
Like, could that work? The other thing from the other side of the equation, I thought is like, how do I staff a company when folks are off for 30 days at a time?
That's what I was referring to. Like, what about manufacturing? I was just thinking about that. Like,
yeah, how would you? We just don't. I don't feel like we run companies in the United States that allow for this kind of gap in our employee population.
Gap. That's a good word. Yeah, I agree.
You'd have to have. We don't cross train enough. We don't have redundancy enough. We have way too many people that are just like, the one person that does the one thing, and if they're gone, that doesn't get done. It's everywhere in every company.
It's everywhere.
Even big companies. It's crazy.
I agree. Yeah, and I think a lot of mid-sized companies, which really represents the majority of our nation, we don't have yet, like you were saying, cross training. And I also think that there are a lot of people that wear multiple hats in their role. It's funny. I was just I just got off the road after doing several leadership events the last 2 weeks, and we did this exercise where we figured out what is our biggest leadership challenge that we have, and it was a really interesting self-assessment that didn't naturally tell you. So you were answering all these questions randomly and assigning numbers to them, and then at the end they would group these numbers in different ways so you could see what your leadership challenges were. You know, and it would be stuff like feeling tension, feeling like you're in the middle, not knowing who to choose, what to do. Then one of the number one thing that even these executive populations, including the president, vice presidents, directors, the number one thing that they had leadership challenge was multi-hat, wearing too many hats, having too many priorities and feeling strung out because of it. So that would, and then you take them out into a vacation for 30 days with that.
Yeah, right.
The stress of that is so overpowering. It's not worth the vacation for a lot of people. It's just too much. It's too much work to go on vacation for a long time.
For sure. How many of us go on vacation but still check emails and still I'll orient my vacation where it's just like, oh, I can get up early and I have 2 hours without family or kids or anything, and I can just go through all this stuff, and so is that really vacation?
And then I can relax. That's what people say. If I do this on vacation, then I can relax, air quotes. But you're bouncing your brain back and forth, back and forth, back and forth almost daily, even when you're out.
Yeah.
at least that's our natural way to move. I don't think that it needs to be that way, but I think that it takes a real conscious effort to untrain ourselves. Really conscious effort.
Yeah. Why have we been trained is a good way to phrase it. Like, why have we been so trained to be on all the time?
I mean, if you go back to the industrial ages, you know, it was all about you're lucky to have a job. You're lucky to work. You're lucky to be in a country with so many options. You know, you have to do your part. I just think it came from many generations before us, and it really has broken a lot of people in some ways. In other ways, it's why we're such an entrepreneurial country, because we have these opportunities and people have taken advantage of them. I think there's a lot of reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we were just brought up in, like, I mean, even school, right? Even our school system's very set up, like school every day. You get some of these, you know, holiday days off, but it's generally, you know, like pretty consistent.
Yeah.
I'd say.
But even if you look at that recently, even it used to always be all summer was off. June, July, August, you're not in school. Even people's expectations of working have encroached on those. Now there are sports camps that are expected sports camps at the beginning of the summer, conditioning things, classes, and then certainly the regular sports, high school sports are infringing in summer, those 3 months as well, where people are starting early. You know, they're beginning of August, they're starting captain's practices, and all these things are expected. So even the work and expectation of that time off is no longer time off. Yeah. It's not time off.
Yeah. Yeah, Ethan's out at flight school right now.
Yeah. How's he doing?
Oh, he's doing good. I think, I mean, we've talked, he's been there like 3 weeks. We've talked to him like twice.
Oh my God. Are you serious? You've only talked to him twice in 3.
One of those times he needed his passport sent to him, so.
So that was a short conversation.
When we were visiting his school, so this is like an accelerated program. You know, you basically like, it's like tech school for pilots. It's like get them through as fast as possible.
I feel a little scared with that, by the way. There's something about that scares me.
It'll be fine. But when we were visiting the school, I was asking like, okay, so, what about like through the school year? Like, what about like vacations, you know, what Thanksgiving and Christmas, and like, what's the schedule for that? Or like, where do we see this, the schedule? And like the kid that was giving us our little tour was like, wait, what? And I'm like, you know, like, is there a winter break? You know, like, when's that? And he's like, oh, no, what are you talking about? There's no days off. And I was like,
that's what he said?
What do you mean no days off? He's like, well, I guess, yeah, he's like, there's no days off. Like, it's aviation. There's no days off. I guess if you have to take a day off, you could do that, but don't let it get in the way of your flying. Like, oh, okay.
Whoa, wow. Whoa. Yeah.
So it was like, I was just like, wow, he's gonna have like an entire year of not a single day off, like flying every day, like weekends, everything, you know?
Yeah.
Which is what he signed up for, right? Like, that's what
I know, but that is a lot.
But that's a lot.
That's a lot, especially for a 19-year-old kid. That's, yeah.
So then I thought, like, okay, what are we even you know, we're programming another generation to have this like insane expectation around schedules.
You know what I find interesting is when it's been probably, I don't know, 17, 18 years since Fiona, my girlfriend in the UK, since Fiona and I have been hanging out and doing stuff together. And when we first started doing things together, she came here first with Colin, her husband, and the American style of vacationing with others is very different too. It's like, it's a very specific expectation that you don't spend too much time with other people when you're on vacation. Maybe a week. You know, it's not maybe 10 days, but that's kind of stretching it. I mean, Americans just have a very different belief around vacation. Being in the UK and Europe, 2 weeks is very, very common. And being together for 2 weeks is just absolutely common. And I noticed that when we first started to talk about being on vacation with other people, how many of my friends stateside were like, oh, you're going to be with them for 2 weeks? Like, are they going to be in your house for 2 weeks? You're going to stay at their house for 2 weeks? And I have to say that it was a huge shift in my cultural thinking around spending time together. Because when you're with someone for 2 weeks, you behave very differently than if you're only with another family or something for 3 or 4 days, which is more common, like a long weekend or whatever. You know, when you're on for 4 days, you behave in a way that's like all out. Like, I got to do we have to do everything. And like, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting. But when you are traveling for a couple of weeks with people, you settle into a much more relaxed cadence. Like, if you want to take a nap, you just disappear and take a nap. You want to just sit together and read and not talk for a couple hours, you do that. And
Wait
it's
a second. It had never occurred to me that during vacation you should take a nap.
Weird, right?
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Do people do that?
Well, yes. And it's crazy, just the mentality, just the difference in mentality about, so when you are on vacation, you better play all out because you only have 4 days. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
that's absolutely, like, I resonate. I mean, my vacations are not
relaxing.
They are missions. They are adventures. Like, we are going to go to this national park and see everything possible because we only have 3 days here.
That's exactly my point. And you usually come home tired. Like, you usually come home, not you personally, but.
Oh no, I personally I'm like, oh, finally, I just get to sit at my desk all day after this vacation because that's way easier than my actual vacation.
And sleep in my own bed and go to bed early and try to catch up.
Yeah. Again, maybe this is a uniquely American thing, but it's like we try to fill our schedules, right? We try to take that time and pack
maximize
it with as much things possible.
I know. It's the American way. Same with at work. Maximize workload. That's why everybody is wearing multi-hats. It's like maximize everything. And if you don't, or if you are too weak to do that, then you better either hide and do your best, or you're going to get run over.
So are we vacationing wrong?
I don't know.
Well,
I feel like I'm actually getting pretty good at it.
You're getting better at it? Good.
I feel like I'm getting better at it. Yeah. Like when we're planning for these trips overseas now, here's what it sounds like. Okay, what's the one thing that we really want to make sure we do? And then is there like, okay, how much time do we have? All right, we have a week and a half. Well, let's just do one big thing, and then we'll just sprinkle 1 or 2 other things so that we have time to just, and the phrase that we always use is mooch about. That's that's the English mooch about. And I love it. It's just great. I love waking up knowing that it's Tuesday and I'm there the whole week and I have no agenda and I can have toast or I don't have to have breakfast if I don't want to. And I can just stare out the window and look at the sea and then I can go do something the next day if I don't really feel like doing it. I want to do a little laundry and catch up with something. It's just great. I sound like a 95-year-old woman right now, but I don't care.
No, I was just thinking like, okay, I could just go anywhere. I could stay at my house. I could go to the cabin. I could go wherever, and I could just try to do nothing. And I don't think I could do it.
Well,
if I went to the cabin, I would get myself into
you
so
would be
many
in a
flipping
huge
projects.
project. I know you would. Yeah.
Like, and at home, I'd be like, I'd I'd be
You'd
on
redo
vacation
your
for like
entire
4
basement.
seconds, and then I'd be like, "Oh,
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
redo my
yeah,
basement.
exactly." There's there's this weird drive that doesn't allow me to not do anything.
Well, enter staycations. This is, I think, Americans' way of trying to chill out on a vacation where they are not choosing to go somewhere, but they are choosing
Yeah,
to stay
just
home
stay
and do
home.
things around the house.
Yeah.
Act like a tourist in your own house.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's people's way in America of trying to settle down a little bit, not spend as much money, not do things so overboard, and yet still be able to get a break from work.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's
Yeah.
really important that we get back to the basics of, taking care of ourselves, allowing ourselves to settle into the nothingness of being.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I agree. I'm gonna I was just okay, I'm gonna try that. I'm not I would like to try that, but I don't think I can get there.
And
Not
yes,
now.
you can.
Not
Yes,
now.
you can. Well,
In
no,
10
well, maybe not
years.
10.
Put that as a long-term goal.
Can you at least say 15 years?
The only other thing I wanted, like, just to circle back on, because I mentioned it,
Mm.
and just for everybody, just to think about this idea and possibly know when you're getting to this point and then advocate for yourself in this way. So
Yeah.
one of the things that I said earlier is that the way people in the United States get, 30, 45, whatever consecutive days off is that they quit their job and
Yeah.
then they go find a new one. I, as an employer, don't want my super good people who are already trained, who already are good at their job, to quit their job just because they need an extended break.
Right.
And I'm not talking about like illness, disability, anything
No,
like
you mean
that.
mental wellness. You mean
Yeah.
mental wellness.
Yeah. So we actually do have a sabbatical policy. There is someone on sabbatical right now for 5 weeks. And so we do it tenured. It's like you get 1 week per year you've been
Oh, got it.
at the company, and that starts after being there for 5 years.
Hmm. That's a
I
cool
didn't come up with
policy.
this idea. Like one of my employees came to me and literally said, "I need an extended time off. I think the only way I'm going to get it is to quit and go find another job." I was like, "Don't do that, dude. Don't quit. Like,
Wow.
you're too critical. Thank you for saying that." And then he
Yeah.
and I developed the sabbatical policy together, and he, actually,
Wow.
ironically, he didn't take it. Someone else took it before him. So, but I think that's like an interesting idea. Like, could you with your employer say, "Hey, I'm getting close to the edge.
Yeah.
And instead of quitting, can you support me in this other way?"
Yeah.
Might be interesting. I don't know how that would work out for people.
I think that is fantastic. I think you've always had a really liberal policy about letting people be in their mental wellness states. I just feel like you've always been more aware of that. You used to take a lot of heat from some of our contemporaries about your whole way of running these types of things. But I think you're kind of ahead of the times actually with it, to be frank.
Well, if it kind of helps people think about, like, there's always an alternative to getting completely burnt out. But most people just like get into this sort of rat race,
right?
Burnout, snap, everything breaks for a little bit, and then they just like pick up somewhere else.
Or they take their regular cadence at work and their regular cadence of being just nuts, crazy, trying to overdo everything, and then they simply change the focus to vacation, doing the same thing but with something different. I think that's the key right there, is to really give yourself an opportunity rather than waiting till you get to that point of being fried. Can you honor yourself by being a little different in your vacation? Can you be different? And even if, I used to tell people in coaching, if you need 20 minutes in the morning to check all your stuff so you can relax, do that. And if that's where you are in your life, can you try something different?
Yeah.
Can you try every
Yeah.
other day? Can you work
Yeah.
towards this idea of allowing yourself space?
Yep.
Whatever that
You're
looks like, even microscopic change.
Yeah, you're definitely hitting something for me, because it's like I've got this mental habit. I'm so conditioned to 100% full schedule, always on,
all out,
very high output,
Mm-hmm.
that when I go on vacation, I just replicate the same behavior.
Yeah.
But I don't have to.
No.
But I'm not even conscious of it. I just do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
that's my
when
point.
we were in the Boundary Waters last week, in the most pristine wilderness.
You were collecting firewood.
Yup.
I
Yeah,
know. I knew it.
We left so much freaking firewood because I just spent like all day long making firewood for no reason. Like,
there was a reason. Oh, there was a reason. You didn't want to sit still and do nothing. That was the reason.
Yeah. So
I know.
I couldn't stop, right? I just kind of got obsessed with, then what's the next thing to be obsessed about? Firewood.
As a side note, don't you think it's interesting that there's always firewood in those Boundary Waters campsites when everybody is looking for firewood every single day?
We're all just such good Minnesotans. We're just passing it all,
Paying it forward.
Paying the firewood forward. Okay, well, this is a good conversation. I like, there's a lot of things for me to think about.
Yeah.
On the way I vacation.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope I hope everybody can take just one thing to think about with their vacation and try something just slightly different.
Yeah, I agree. Did you enjoy this episode? Please go to your favorite podcast platform to subscribe, rate, and leave a review so others can discover it as well.
Growing self-awareness is a lifelong journey, and there's always further to go. And it's better when we're all in it together. Please think of someone you know who could benefit from hearing today's conversation and share this episode with them. We can't thank you enough for listening. Until next time, happy exploring, seekers.